Hey, it's Vas here from Aussie RC Playground and welcome to another unboxing. Today we're going to be looking at this guy, the Zombie 8E from DHK. And if you've been following the channel for a few years, you might remember I did a review of the DHK Hunter, which was a 1/10 scale four-wheel drive brushless short course truck, and I really liked that truck. So obviously when I got the opportunity to review another DHK product such as this one, I jumped at it. And not just that, but it is one of the more requested RCs for me to review over the last couple of months. I've had messages on Facebook and several of my videos of people requesting me to kind of review and have a better look at the Zombie 8E, and finally here it is. Now this one came to me from Banggood, so please be sure to check out the video description. I'll have a link in there to where you can go and check this guy out in more detail, get some more technical information on it as well, and also find out how much it'll cost. So this is a 1/8 scale four-wheel drive brushless truggy. I mean, it says monster truck on the box, you can probably see it from there, but I see it more as a truggy. It's got the rear spoiler, it's got more of a truggy-ish sort of look to it, and being 1/8 scale, it's capable, according to the box, capable of about 70 kilometers an hour or 40 miles an hour in old money. Comes with a 100 amp waterproof ESC, which I think is like a Hobby Wing quick run kind of rebrand. It is capable of running up to 4S, but it does come with a 3S pack included, and the motor is a 3670 2030 kV. So hopefully it'll get that speed. If it does do that speed, that's actually really good for 4S, I think, and that's really good bashing speed, to be honest with you. So yeah, looks pretty good. Let's have a better look at it. We'll get that box out of the way. Don't need that here. And this is what you get when you open up the box. You get the truck, remote, there is a charger included, and of course your manual instructions and all that sort of thing. Now the charger only goes to 2S and 3S, and it charges via the balance plug, so it will take you a while to charge up your packs, but at least, hey, you know, they include a charger, which is pretty good. That one in particular came with like a European plug on it, so to use it here in Australia I would need an adapter to kind of plug it into the power point. Not really a big deal though, I got a few of those. Now, it does come with the only tool in the box, which is for your 17mm hexes to put the wheels on. The wheels and spoiler do not come pre-mounted on the truck. You will need to put those on yourself, but it's pretty straightforward. I did use the tool, even though it's made out of plastic. I did use this to put the wheels on, and it seems to be pretty decent. I don't know how long it'll last, but it's good that they've included it for you, so that's a plus, I guess. In here you also have an instruction manual for your ESC, so this will allow you to kind of calibrate it to the remote if you need to, and also do some minor programming if you want to change up the punch or whatever other tuning options you want to do with the ESC. The manual itself, as I quickly put the bag out of the way, the manual is pretty straightforward manual. You've got some parts listings on the back, and then throughout the center there's blown up illustrations of the car, so if you do want to do any maintenance on it, you've got that all that information there for you. The remote is kind of an updated version of the old remote that I had with the Hunter. This one's just got a little stubby antenna on here, whilst the other one I think had a collapsible antenna. And I can't remember if the other one ran on 8 AA's or 4, but this one actually runs only on 4 AA's, which is pretty good. And you still have the standard knobs and switches on the back. So you've got your on and off switch, your reverse switches for both channels, and then of course you got steering trim, throttle trim, you got steering dual rate, and you got throttle dual rate. Now throttle dual rate's actually a really cool thing to have, because if you've got this particular RC, you've got it set up for 4S, for example, and you want to hand the remote over to somebody that's a little bit less experienced, you can turn down the throttle dual rate. That limits the speed on the car, and that way somebody else can use it without smacking it into a wall or some sort of object at 70 kilometers an hour. So pretty cool that that remote actually has that feature. All right, so let's have a better look at the truck, which is what we are here to see. As you can see, it's called Zombie. It's got zombies printed all over the body, which I guess makes sense. So there's that big one on the back there. Here's your rear spoiler, tyres, aluminium shocks, as you can see. Looking pretty nice. I don't mind the shape of the body. I think they definitely could have done better personally, but yeah, the color scheme is fine. I don't mind the color scheme at all. I think it's pretty cool. Quickly taking the body pins off here, we'll have a better look at the body itself. Silver, kind of silverish on the underside, and I have to say the body itself actually feels pretty decent. Feels nice, like the thickness of it doesn't feel too flimsy. The shape of it also helps with some of its rigidity, I guess, because it has all these like little cross molds everywhere, which is kind of cool. Yeah, I don't mind the body. Hopefully it's not those kind of like PVC bodies that crack when you have an impact with them. Hopefully this is a little bit pliable and it'll last a while. So we'll see. As I run it, we'll find out all these things. So here is the truck itself. There it is there. That's the chassis, and you can see the included battery already strapped into the car. So let's work from the outside and work in. Start with the tyres. Tyres actually feel pretty decent. They have a pretty soft rubber to them. The foams do feel a little bit soft, I have to say. Hopefully they won't deteriorate over time and kind of break apart inside the tyre and then they throw the whole wheel off balance. I'm hoping that's not the case, but the rubber itself actually feels pretty decent. Let's see how it goes over at the BMX track. I mean, it's got this sort of like chevron shape to it, but with the tread pattern that they've done to it, I think it might actually grip okay. At least I'm hoping it does. So we'll find out. Now, suspension-wise, I have to say the springs I think are actually correct, but the oil they've chosen might be a bit too thin. You can see that it's a little bit bouncy, and I don't like it too bouncy because when you go and do some jumping and things like that, it kind of bottoms out too easy, and I really don't want that to happen. The car does bottom out front and rear, which is good. So that works out okay. Now, we'll start at the front here, work our way back. So nice solid front bumper mounted onto the front of the car. It does have a little bit of flex to it, and of course it's got this little kind of flexi plastic on the back. It does feel a little bit hard, but it does give, so that's pretty good. Aluminium shock towers front and rear, and as you can see, you've got 6 adjustment points on the shock towers, both front and rear. The shocks themselves, as I bring it up close to the camera here, you can see the shocks. Aluminium threaded bodies. Does have a little bit of plastic up the top, but the cap on the bottom is actually plastic as well. I'm hoping that doesn't pop off during use, so we'll see how that goes. You also have 2 adjustment points on the A-arms, both front and rear. Hinge pin braces, you've got aluminium hinge pin braces on the front of the front A-arms and on the rear of the rear A-arms, but the ones in the middle are actually plastic. I don't think that's really a big deal, but at the same time it wouldn't have been a big deal to put aluminium all the way around there. Receiver box, as you can see just here, the ESC is waterproof, but the receiver box I don't think is. First of all, it's only held together like closed with a couple of body pins, and the hole that the cables go into that isn't rubber sealed or anything like that. So I wouldn't go submerging this in water. You can probably run it on the odd sort of puddle or wet grass or something like that, but don't go submerging this in water because chances are your receiver might get damaged. You got front and rear sway bars already pre-installed. You got droop screws already pre-installed on the A-arms, which is great. The drive shafts, these are actually CVDs all the way around. Normally with cars like this, you'll see CVDs on the front and just standard dog bones in the rear. They've actually done a really good job here, and they've put CVDs all the way around, which is pretty cool. You got aluminium steering knuckles up the front. Hopefully they're not too soft. I've had aluminium steering knuckles on my Drivetrain 835V from about probably 4 years ago now, I think. 3.5, 4 years ago. And the problem with that car was that the aluminium was really soft, and I actually, you know, the screws and everything kind of loosened up and fell out. I lost a couple of screws with those knuckles. Hopefully I don't have the issue with these. They're obviously a completely different design, so let's see how we go. A-arms look pretty decent. I don't mind the A-arms on this. They look okay. Not the beefiest A-arms, and they do have a little bit of flex. They have a bit of give, and a bit of give is good. You don't want them too hard, because too hard means that sometimes they'll snap very easy. Too soft means you don't get any precise sort of performance out of the A-arms. They flex and the car kind of sways everywhere. You don't have precise steering, but it's good to have a little bit of give there, I think. You got adjustable toe up the front, adjustable camber front and rear, of course. And what else can I tell you? Steering servo is actually 9 kilos. Now, I would have preferred something around about the 12 to 15 kilogram, I think, for something like this, especially this sort of weight. You know, it's pretty much standard weight for a 1/8 scale. I think 9 kilos might be a little bit weak, but we'll see. You know, I have been wrong about these things before. We'll find out. Drive shaft thickness and the center drive shaft look to be about 5 mil thick, maybe 4.5-ish. I'll probably need to measure that out to really make sure, but they look pretty decent. They're not thin by any means. And just finally, just while we're on the chassis here, the actual motor mount, you can see that it's got this like really big heat sink wrapped all the way around it. See if I can get my camera to focus in on this. Here we go. So you got this big heat sink all the way around, which really helps dissipate heat. However, this particular design means that you're limited to 36mm can motors. You can't go putting a 40 or 42 mil or anything like that. You can't put anything bigger than what will actually fit in here. You can go longer, but you can't go wider. So I don't know if that's really a negative as such. I mean, some people might find that to be a bit of a negative because they want to put their own motors in. They have something in mind, they want to upgrade and they can't because the motor won't physically fit. So you do have provisions here for a fan that you can sort of help extract some of the heat from the heatsink. But unfortunately, yeah, you can probably go to maybe 80 mil can or 82 mil can, but it has to stay 36 mil in diameter. It is only running a small pinion. I believe it's a 12-tooth pinion, and the center spur gear is actually plastic or nylon, I think it's called. And of course, you've got a center diff and everything. You've got 3 diffs in total. They're all geared. Now, with these plastic spur gears, I personally don't mind them. They do definitely make the car a little bit quieter. I've had other cars in the past when I'm running them out at the BMX track. I see comments, people saying, "Oh, you know, why is it so loud?" That's really because it's using all, you know, metal gears throughout, and those things make noise. With the nylon gearing, obviously it's going to quieten the car down a little bit. Now, the downside with that is that if you do get dirt and so forth kind of jammed up in there, you can damage the spur gear a little bit quicker than you would otherwise a steel spur gear. So, you know, you got to weigh it up. Do you want it to be really quiet, or do you want it to be, you know, long lasting? I think given that this is sort of limited to 4S, not 6S, I think this gearing, the spur gear should be totally fine. But we'll see, you know, again, only time will tell. Aluminium upper deck, as you can see, and you've also got a little bit of aluminium here for your steering linkage, which is pretty cool. The little antenna tube, you will need to put this on yourself. It is very flexible though. You can see there, it's a very flexible antenna tube. It comes in that little bag that I showed you earlier, and you just put it in, and it kind of just sits in here like that. You don't have to make it go through the body. It kind of just bends underneath the body, which I think is fine. Now the whole thing does come with Dean's or T-style connectors, and the battery, whilst I quickly take this off, I'll just take the battery out of here as quickly as I possibly can so as not to bore you too much. I'll get rid of the straps as well because they come off very easy. So this is the battery that you get, which is a 2600 milliamp 20C pack. Now, I like the fact that they're including a 3S LiPo battery, not a nickel metal hydrate or anything like that, but 2600 20C, that only gives you about 52 amps max that this thing can actually put out. If the motor draws more than those amps, then this battery could be in a little bit of trouble. But, you know, with the 100 amp ESC, I'm assuming it'll probably only pull 100 amps with 4S, maybe with 3S it pulls a lot less. Not just that, but 2600 milliamp, I'm assuming you get about 3 to 4 minutes runtime out of something like this on a car this size. We'll see, maybe I'll run it, maybe I won't. I could definitely use it in some of my other 1/10 scale vehicles, that's for sure. It's not very heavy, and it's just a standard 2S pack size. So there is an option, at least on the box it says that you can get another option with a 3600 milliamp 3S. I obviously got the smaller pack. I'm assuming the other one would cost a little bit more. Just do your homework on that when you are actually buying the car. But that's the battery that's included. All right, what else can I tell you about this car that I haven't told you already? We've got adjustable body posts front and rear, which is really good because obviously if you want to change out the body, customize it, put a different body on it, you've got the adjustments here to be able to sit the body properly on the car, so that's always a plus. Now, just finally, underneath, you can see the chassis is absolutely peppered with holes. These 4 big ones here, this is for your motor mount. This is how you adjust the mesh. You undo those 4 screws and kind of like the whole motor mount moves from side to side, and that's how you adjust the mesh, and you can obviously go bigger on the pinion if you want. So that's how that's done. So I don't know why there's so many holes on this chassis. I mean, there's quite a number of holes here that aren't being used at all as well. I'm assuming this is probably used for some other RC in their range, but Yeah, quite an alarming amount of holes that they've got on this. I do wonder if that actually compromises the integrity of the chassis, if it weakens it at all. That's something that I am curious about. Hopefully not. It does have obviously some more aluminium up the top here to stiffen the whole thing up, so hopefully the chassis will hold up okay. I think that's pretty much all I can really say. The back of it here, you can see the spoiler mount's got a little bit of extra aluminium in there, which is cool. You can adjust the spoiler a bit, but this is pretty much about as flat as it gets. You can tilt it forward a bit more if you want to. That's really all I got to say about it, I think. That's really about it. Suspension tune, as I said, probably could have been a lot better. Servo could definitely have been a lot better. The shape of the body could have been a little bit nicer. I think they've gone for this kind of like old school truck look at the front. I like the color scheme. I think they should stick with that. I think it looks good. Just the shape of it, the mold, I'm not a big fan of. The other thing to take into account as well, when you're putting the body in, it is a little bit tricky. You kind of go in on a bit of an angle and lock it into place at the rear, because it pretty much, the body sits, if you have a look here, I'll see if I can get my camera to focus. You can see the body kind of just sits right underneath this spoiler. They did taper the body out in the back there, but yeah, it's a little bit tricky to kind of take in and out sometimes if you haven't got it lined up correctly. But that's, I think that's pretty much it. I'm really excited about this one. I'm really glad that I got my hands on it. You know, there's definitely a lot of good things about this car. DHK is a brand that as I said, I've had in the past, and I was very happy with that Hunter short course truck. So I'm hoping that the Zombie kind of keeps up to that standard. It is one of the cheaper RCs out there on the market, you know, in this sort of scale and genre, I guess. So when you want to get a truggy, you don't want to spend big dollars, this is probably a viable option for you. I like that they've updated the remote. Obviously that shows progress, that they're updating their fleet and updating their electronics, so that's always good. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I think this could actually be, potentially, could be quite a good buy for somebody that doesn't want to spend big dollars on a 1/8 scale truggy. Alrighty, so I think I'm going to leave this one here. Please be sure to check out the video description for more information on the car, as well as a link to my Facebook page. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new. And as always, I thank you all very much for watching, and I will speak to you next time.